Hello, and welcome back to Business with Smith Co. Hello, and welcome back to Business with Smith Co. Today we're going to be talking about public limited companies. So, let's head straight in. So, a public limited company has, its main feature is that it's public. But we'll discuss that in greater detail later on in the video. So, it has 7 shareholders, at least. Has to have at least 7 shareholders. There's no limit to the actual number of shareholders it can have. So, unlike a private limited company, it doesn't have a cap on how many shares it can have. So, technically, it could have millions upon millions of shareholders, and further on. So, basically, what I'm saying is, it doesn't have a cap on shareholders at all. So the shareholders publicly buy and sell shares in the company on the stock exchange. Now, this is far different to a private limited company's way of selling shares, which is that they will be able to offer someone shares, and so if someone wants to buy shares, they're going to have to go to the company. Well, I'd like to buy shares in your business, or they have to say to someone, would you like to buy shares in a business? Instead, this is the sort of thing where I'm able to go, if I'm able to go online right now, and as long as I have the money, if I had the money, I could go online and buy shares in all these little businesses. Obviously, big businesses, it will cost quite a lot of money to buy as just a share. Some businesses will be like a couple of £100 just buy one share, and there's quite a lot of shares. So, it's the sort of thing where you go like, the business, you don't have to buy shares necessarily from the business. You just buy them online, just on the stock exchange. So as a business grows, it might float on the stock exchange and become a public limited company because of various reasons. Now, public limited companies have the words PLC after their name. This, is something which, companies may wish to do at any time, because it has certain advantages. There is, there's unlimited access to more capital, as there is no limit to the number of shareholders. So you can continue to sell shares. If you need more capital, sell more shares. Of course, the one problem with that is that if your business begins to, go down, then you might have a problem if people start selling their shares. Because if everybody sells the shares at once, then your share price will just drop. And if no one buys it, because they don't expect it to go back up, then your share price will be down and you may not be able to sell more shares. And that is one of the problems, which is, if you've got an unlikely chance of your share price increasing, you may never be able to, it's there, the source of finance is there, but you may not have anyone who's willing to buy that. So, there's that. Next comes stock listing boost, the image of the company. So this is like a thing where, like, if you see a company which is traded on the stock exchange, it can sometimes, doesn't always though, it can sometimes, benefit in a way where it's like, okay, so this business is there, they're big enough, they're trading on the stock exchange, all this sort of stuff. So there's also a little bit more. Because you're on the stock exchange, people think, oh, they're more secure. That does not mean that they are, just means to a business, people might think they are. It also tracks top managers and gets free publicity in articles, newspapers and magazines due to its status. So a business is discussed all the time. So when business becomes large enough, it just starts to be discussed in general conversation. So for example, if I say, oh yeah, Apple. Yeah, Apple iPhones. And if you're critical of Apple iPhones, you still mentioned them and you still said something, even if the conversation you're talking about doesn't actually relate to. In, for example, this video, I will say, just beware. When you're hearing a business, just because you're hearing a business does not mean it's good, Look at the little company that, we've decided to call name it, not name it rather, because, you never know what kind of situation might happen. But a certain company that delivers things around the world and is known for abusing workers. that particular company gets a lot of publicity from that sort of thing, but it's free. And this is the thing you see it a lot of the time, because sometimes businesses don't even need to advertise at all. Like, they just don't, because they're so well known, and because they get kind of essentially free advertising, then they don't really even need to advertise, because there's no point advertising. There's no point saying to Google, okay, I'm gonna place my ad in this blog post that talks about me. Because if you look at it like this, if I say something, if I run a blog that is read by loads of people, and I say something about a company, that looks far better than it does if I have an advert, because people know that's an advert. They're going to look at it and go, that's an advert. I don't really want to click on that. But if they go, oh, this person suggests this company, or this person talks to this company, it reminds me I can use that company, and they look at it there. And that's far better for a company than general advertising, because it helps that way. Obviously, that also can work for public. It's just that public limited companies tend to be a little bit more able to access that. It also usually has a very good credit rating, so it can access capital to actually expand its business area. It can also reward employees with profit sharing schemes, which can be used to attract, top end managers to the company. You can attract people who work for even your competitors by simply saying, well, you'll get paid more here. The disadvantages, however, can be large. There is a cost of running and floating a PLC, and that cost is very high. There are a lot of legal documents to be prepared. Solicitors and stockbrokers need to be paid for making an initial public offering, or IPO. There's also the issue of, if you're too small and you run on the stock exchange, you will be able to be bought out. So that's a problem, because control can be lost like that. It just instant lost, because PLCs are very easy to target for takeover bid. They're vulnerable, as there's actually no control who buys shares in the company on stock exchange. So if I'm a large company, I can buy your company up. If your company's entire share price is like 20 million, obviously that's a fairly big company, but it's still quite small to very large businesses, and that's an issue, because unless you're like one of the bigger companies who their profits would just exceed any other companies, like capital, would just bankrupt any other company if they try to buy them, then being listed on the stock exchange is an issue. If you look at some of the companies that a particular company, we'll just call them Nile, have purchased, some of those companies have been, not listed as public limited companies, which has helped them, because it has meant that they can't be bought out by others. But other companies that they purchased have just been outright bought, because you have that issue of, if you run a company and you don't want, if you're a company and you're an alternative to a major business and you're listed on the stock exchange, your entire resources could just plummet by that business buying you out. They're not buying you out because they think you're making profit. They're buying you out because you're taking from their profits. That issue is a massive one, which is why some businesses wouldn't list on the stock exchange, wouldn't become PLCs, because you're only able to buy a business if they're not listed on PLC by making an offering to them themselves. So that's sort of thing there. Second to that, it's actually, you have to publish a lot of information about your actual activities and accounts if you are PLC. So it doesn't actually have much confidentiality. Shareholders and the board might disagree publicly on major decisions. This could damage performance or the reputation of the company. The share price is the main indicator of the performance of the company, but it is not fully in the company's control. Investors can influence it. If I, was to buy a bunch of shares in a business, that might, and I was to not do it openly, then, that business might increase its share price. Or if I sold a bunch just because I wanted to, that could go like, oh look, that famous investors just sold them, sell, and all that sort of thing can happen, and that drops the price, because the price is based on what's buying, selling, and all that sort of stuff. It all comes into a factor of that. So, next to that, you also have the issue of the sort of one person, one vote. That doesn't apply here. What you have here is shares, and a major problem is, well, if you're a shareholder, then you buy a majority of the shares, you get to control what the company's future will be. So this is what public limited companies are all about. So thank you for listening to the kind of podcast, I guess you could call it. Hopefully you will join us next time. That would be helpful. And please do video videos, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel, and please do all the other things like liking, commenting, or all that sort of stuff, because that helps a great deal. And when you help, you help. Yeah. Anyway, see you next time. If not, goodbye to you, I guess. Yeah, bye to you.